Welcome back, everybody, to the Cinebums channel. I like to look at this channel as your safe haven for film love and film nerdom, and honestly, just being a bum when it comes to cinema, just watching movies all day long. Your boy, producer Jake's back. I did the Crimes of the Future Cronenberg episode with my friend Lucas. I really appreciate all the feedback for that episode, honestly. Like, I'm not used to being on the mic. I'm used to being sort of on the sideline as a team player for it. So I'm not used to hosting, and I really appreciate all the kind words and people that enjoyed listening to us rant about Cronenberg and really try attempting to dissect his movies. It's really tough. But man, I'm so overjoyed to have my guest today. He's got a huge YouTube channel in the world of film. He's the king of Criterion, if I do say so myself. You can see behind him, he's got a wicked collection, a great collection. Carlos from the Misfit Pond channel. Man, dude, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Nah, man, thank you. I'm really excited about this, and I'm happy to be here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, I recommend your channel all the time to my friends who are like obsessed with films, and it's particularly like the Criterion collection and like our tour driven cinema, as pretentious as that sounds, but
yeah,
that's what we like. That's what we nerd out about. And you definitely have great knowledge about that stuff.
Thanks, dude. I mean, I do want to say, you said I had a huge YouTube channel. That is very generous of you to say. Yeah, I mean, it's something. I mean, I'm glad that I have people like you who are really enthusiastic about it. I mean, even if I were to end my channel today, I'm just like very grateful to have people like you out there that, you know, get a lot of enjoyment out of what I've done so far. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I will support you for as long as you do it. Until you get a feature film out of the gate, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I definitely want to get into that. Like, so were you, did it like coincide with your film love starting the Misfit Pond channel? Was it like directing, was it directing first or was it YouTube?
Well, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker first. Like that's what I went to college for, like with the intention of, eventually getting a career in filmmaking. But first off, I would have never gone to college if like my dad didn't offer to pay for tuition, like because film school and really art school in general is very risky. And I don't know if I could really recommend anybody taking out loans to go to an art school or doing filming or anything like that, because it's I don't know if it's really worth being in debt for something like that. Honestly, even though I finally graduated, a lot of my knowledge just kind of came from watching film myself, watching some of my favorite directors make films, just hearing what a lot of what my favorite directors had to say about the filmmaking process. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did learn a decent handful of stuff from college, but I think what has helped me the most really is like looking at a lot of behind the scenes stuff from my favorite filmmakers, and also putting in some of the experience and making my own short films, and also watching a lot of films and studying it and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So like I first and foremost, I want to be a filmmaker. The YouTube thing was basically just because I also realized that I enjoy talking about film and filmmaking. And I figured, why not? Like, let's just do this thing and let's see where this goes. And if anything, it could help, eventually set a platform and a base for the future to when like it can maybe help me get notoriety. So eventually I can use this as a way to become a filmmaker.
Right.
But
yeah, that's a really relatable journey. I mean, I also went to film school, and I really liked what you said about taking out loans. It's not like the most ideal situation for studying something that you could sort of obtain yourself by just watching film.
Yeah.
And yeah, I look at film school at a really weird decision I made, because it's like what I've learned a lot, making films with my friends and sort of writing scripts on the side and sort of figuring that whole mentality of being a filmmaker out by myself. So it's an interesting journey, man. And like, I feel like doing the YouTube thing and constantly being sort of entrenched in films all the time.
Yeah.
Especially really, really imperative stuff like in the Criterion collection that you're that you sort of explore a lot, that really, it teaches you a lot, man. It's like it's its own film school in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like especially with stuff like Criterion, they offer just mountains of like, special features or supplements as they call them.
Yeah,
And like, just through those, like you could learn so much about like the filmmaking process and just like the art behind filmmaking. So I really like college helps most with like, talking to fellow aspiring filmmakers, gaining connections and obviously getting the degree. It depends on your plan after college too. Like some people plan to like directly go into being like a PA afterwards and just kind of doing that thing. But then you got people like me who they get their degree and they still kind of plan on doing things independently, and like they just hope with a combination of their portfolio and their degree that eventually like someone will recognize their talents or something and make it that way.
yeah. So would your ultimate next step, I know you've done a few short films. You got
Yeah.
the horror short festival that I definitely want to get into too as well.
Yep.
Like, would a self-financed like feature film or maybe a crowd-funded independent feature be like an ideal next step for you? Because it seems like you're
Absolutely.
definitely on that path right now.
Yeah, like that would be the ultimate goal for me. Like right now, my plan is to make like 3 or 4 more short films, like 3 or 4 more like promising short films. And like after that point, I've just write a full length script. By the way, I have experience when it comes to like directing and producing short films, but I don't really have a lot of experience screenwriting. That's like one of my blind
Mm.
spots. Like I don't consider myself much of a writer. A lot of the stuff that I like, all the short films that I made, I just gathered all the ideas in my head and then just put it to life, like behind the camera. Like I didn't write anything down, basically.
Oh, you
Um,
didn't even go there with a script, like a storyboard, even just kind of like,
I just
wow,
did it from like just. I mean, they're short films, so like it's not like I had to retain that much information.
right,
But
right,
I don't have that excuse when it comes to a full length film. Like I pretty much have to buckle down and I have to like make myself write a full length script. So yeah, I mean what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna make 3 or 4 more shorts, and after that point write a full length script and do my best to finance that on my own somehow, whether it's through crowdfunding on
mm,
the internet or shit, if I have to try to take out a loan or something. But
yeah.
I really want to. That you're right, like that is like my ultimate goal at this point is to self-finance my own feature length film.
Really cool, man. I mean, I will be here to help support you when that the time comes. We will promote Carlos's feature film when the time comes on the Cinebums channel. That's for sure.
That's so fucking awesome, thank you so much.
Of course, dude. Um, but yeah, that's again very relatable journey. I definitely see eye to eye with you and a lot of what you said. Being a
Awesome.
director would be an ideal job in this life, even though it's like one of the most. It seems so unobtainable, like especially when I was in high school before film school. It's like, how do you get to the point where you have authorship and ownership over a piece of art like that?
Yeah.
It was such a foreign concept to me, but you said like meeting other filmmakers, like people in that pursuit,
Yeah.
it's kind of comforting because there's a lot of people in that arena with you and like struggling to get by, but we have this just burning passion for like a really particular thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I love talking about like the process because it's so everyone's got their own route to get to where they want to
Yeah.
be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's crazy because like as my entire time in college, since I'm such a socially anxious and awkward person, I didn't make pretty much any friends. I mean, I made a few friends along the way, but most of the friends that I made were like the last day of college. Like I'm like literally the last day. And
Damn.
it wasn't even fully intentional. Like a lot of it happened naturally, which was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of like I remember in my senior seminar class, I had to give a presentation on a because he gave everybody a prompt and we could choose between a bunch of different stuff. I chose to do a video essay type thing because it's just my wheelhouse. I've done it a million times before,
Yeah.
so I did that. And I one of the films that we saw in that class was a film called Children of Paradise, and I think that's a 10 out of 10 film, absolute masterpiece.
I
Honestly, a
just
lot of
I
you have
just
it.
blind bought that. I wish
Oh
I could
shit,
grab it right now. I just blind
yeah.
bought it during this past sale, and I can't wait to watch it. So,
Yeah, dude, like that. I obviously I own it.
mm-hmm.
But like that like that was probably my favorite film he showed us that year. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a scene analysis on this film and make that like my final project. So that's what I did. And I presented it, and I had like 3 people in the class tell me, "Hey, I know your channel because I saw your like mother explain video or your
Nice.
killing of a sacred deer explain video." And it felt
Hmm.
like surreal. I was like, "What the fuck? Like,
That's
really?"
wild, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I made friends that way on like the last day. And like I had another uh philosophy course too. And in that class I made a few friends as well. So I mean it's crazy, but like the last day I made like 5 or 6 important friends, and throughout my like 5 to 6 year run in college, I didn't really make any friends.
Dude, film school is a hard place to meet like friends that you'd hang out with outside of school because everyone's so, at least my experience, everyone was so solely focused on their craft, and like
Yeah.
whether they're a writer, editor, producer, director, everyone was really solely committed to the craft. and
Yeah.
and it was weird, man. Like I mean, my roommate currently, he's a screenwriter, and we both bonded over movies, but mostly about writing. um
Interesting. Yeah.
he's a subscriber of you, by the way. He loves your channel.
Oh shit.
shout
Awesome.
shout out to Brendan. He
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he watches all the halls, man. He's a fan.
The halls are
um
a hit, man. They're a
the
hit.
halls are a big hit, dude. um yeah, that's a good segue because I found the halls. I'll be honest, like a lot of my friends in film school don't like going out and buying a shit ton of Criterions at one time because we're all so
Yeah.
broke.
Yeah.
So besides Brendan's the only friend I found that will go out and just spend $200 on movies in a single day.
Yeah.
So I would
Just
go to YouTube
mhm.
because like I felt like I was crazy. I'm like, I'm the only one that likes to collect in movies in this day and age where physical media is dying.
That's
And
true.
you were one of the first people I found.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and it was through like, I don't remember the exact video, but I think it was one of the first or second Criterion halls you ever did.
Hmm.
And yeah, dude, I don't know. I love those videos, and I kind of segued into the analysis and everything, and I kind of binged your channel during quarantine.
That's
Pretty
awesome.
much, man.
I mean, that's the goal. Like, I mean, I love the haul videos. Like, I love doing them. And like, they're great videos because like, it's really easy for me to do. Like, for me, that's compared to like the video essays and the reviews, like the calls are pretty low effort because I'm just kind of being me and I'm shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just having fun, like, picking up all the films that I love. What's not easy is like the fucking hole that gets burned in my wallet because because I know some
Oh
people think
man.
like, especially like when I had Perry Law, they're like, how does people have so much fucking money? First of all, like me personally, I don't have a lot of money. I'm being insanely irresponsible
Me
by how
neither,
much money I'm
dude.
spending. So like it's not like
Oh.
I'm doing something that is like I'm not supposed to be spending this much on Criterion, but I do it anyway because I just have a lot of fun doing it. And like
Yeah.
and it's a sale. Like I have to like if I'm gonna I don't spend much money on myself really, like at all. And if I'm gonna spend money on myself, I'd rather splurge like on this and not eat for a few days. It's worth it, whatever.
Dude, that's so relatable because it's in the months of July, and it's in November when Barnes does the other one, right? I think it's November. I dread looking at my credit card bill every fucking
Yeah.
time because it'll be like I'll always be like, okay, I'll spend 150. I'll treat myself to that because, like
Yeah.
you said, I don't really treat myself to a lot of things in life because
Yeah.
I work a pretty low wage job. I have to pay rent in my car.
Same.
It's the grind of being an adult, right? And just like to
Yeah.
collect fucking Criterions on top of that
Yeah.
is so irresponsible. But there's something so
Like
gratifying.
like you gotta have something in life. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe like it just be like whatever. Like everybody has those irresponsible things they do, but it gives me joy. So I'm willing to I'm willing to bite the bullet on it because it's like it just why not? Like we don't have much. Like let me have my criterions. Like
Absolutely. I definitely want to circle back to physical media. I feel like we can do
yeah.
a ton of that towards the end.
Oh yeah.
But kind of segue into like your analysis videos, I think what I really gravitated towards was that I felt like I was talking with one of my friends about a movie, but in a more, you don't do it in a pretentious way. It's more like I'm coming from this as like someone who wants to learn about film and appreciate it more than like I want to over explain things and have a really clickbaity, thumbnail and title. Like
Yeah.
I felt like it really came from like, you reminded me of friends I had in film school that just like to kind of just dissect shit for the sake of it, and because we just love movies. Um, and you mentioned Killing of a Sacred Deer was like one of my first ones because like that movie bewildered the shit out of me,
Yeah.
as does a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos films. But yeah, that's a great video, and I
Thanks.
think it's like your most. I think I went through your most viewed, and that's like
It
pretty
is.
high up there, right?
Yeah, it's my most viewed video. I mean, I have that video to thank for a lot of, I mean, besides the hauls, like that analysis video, I mean, I did not expect it to get as many views as I think right now I think it has like close to 350,000 or more.
Damn.
Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you described your experience with those videos the way you did, because that's like who I am. Like there's sometimes when I watch like explain videos and stuff, I see people and they talk about it, but they talk about it in this like, super smart, they have the highest brow vocabulary possible. And
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm just dumb, but like sometimes I just feel like I'm not really getting much out of it. So like when I try to explain stuff, yeah, I try to, use, you know, a vocabulary that is, a little bit more evolved, but at the same time, like I'm also being me, and I'm not the smartest person ever either. So my vocabulary is pretty minimal. So at the end of the
Sure.
day, I come off just kind of like a guy who just loves films and is trying to explain it, to the best of my knowledge.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad that's your experience with it, because that's basically exactly like what it is and what I'm going for, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could tell, and it's a very personable way too. It feels like I'm talking to a friend is the best way I could describe it, and that's what I love about YouTube. And film
That's
lovers
great.
through YouTube, absolutely. And Irreversible was another one because that's a movie that
Yeah.
genuinely, and again, as all our Gaspar Noé movies have a similarity, completely perplexed to how to digest certain sequences.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe you analyzed the sequence with the fire extinguisher,
Yeah.
um, which is honestly one of the most striking and impactful moments I've ever experienced in any movie ever. And I
Yeah.
honestly just looked up that scene because I wanted to watch it, and your video popped up. I was like, no fucking way. Carlos made a video on this scene, and like I always felt like it was a scene I could never get out of my head. And like years down the line, and I looked it up and I found your video. Um, and
Yeah, dude.
yeah, it was a great analysis again. Yeah, that's a great video.
Thank you, dude. Like that, I wanted to do that scene because I feel like, everybody who talks about that film, they usually talk about the rape scene. And,
Mm,
I understand why, because it's, to me, I mean, that film is my number one most traumatizing film ever, like that I've ever witnessed. And it's
yeah.
mostly because of that scene. But I feel
Mm,
like people really don't talk about the fire extinguisher scene that much. And that scene, I remember when I first watched the film, like, I was like, this scene I did not see coming because nobody talks about it. So like when that scene happened, I had such a visceral reaction to it. Like I literally gagged. I don't ever gag watching movies, but then that scene made me gag. I was like, this is the most like, boundary pushing like piece of violent filmmaking that I've seen like in a very long time. And again, like it was just so impressive to me because the film is so immersive aesthetically through the direction. Like the film just starts out with a bang, with the chaotic and erratic camera work
mm-hmm.
going everywhere. It makes you want to vomit on that just with that alone, because it's just so like disorienting with all the camera movements. And then just the way that Gaspar Noé like, explores the space within the rectum is the name of the gay club. It's just it that's like one of the most immersive and traumatizing like experiences I've had watching a film, because of it's
Mm-hmm.
because of Gaspar Noé's direction. It's incredible.
And with great detail and intentionality, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Like that. I think in your analysis and when I was watching the film, I felt the same way that it really jumpstarts like really this journey through hell for Vance Cassell's character, and that's like it kind of propels the rest of the movie and the tone of the movie. Um, and so
Yeah.
much to unpack within like basically a oneer. It's harder for me to describe Noé's camera work. What you
Yeah.
said about it is like gliding, but yeah, that sequence was always, I would say, like the greatest achievement he's ever had as a director. But that's just me.
No,
Um, you know,
I haven't given it that much thought, but I don't think that's unreasonable to say. Like he achieved so much with that film. I mean, personally, my favorite Gaspar Noé film is still Climax.
Mm,
But Irreversible is arguably like his objective best movie because it's just so like impressive
yeah,
on so many levels. But Climax is just a film that I mean, I loved it so much from the theater. I saw it like two more times, but it's just like, I know like,
absolutely.
and some people watch Climax and they're like, oh, that movie's so disturbing. I'm like, it is, but you know, if you haven't seen Irreversible yet, I wouldn't really say that yet. But
Yeah, you gotta really ease into Noé's work. You
yeah,
can't really jump into like Climax or even Love. You
yeah.
kind of
Which I
Irreversible is a
haven't
good way
seen
to
Love
start.
yet, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it because just too many people that I know just said like it's whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't really see myself watching. I mean, I will eventually, but like,
Oh yeah,
did you enjoy it?
I did. It's kind of similar to Vortex. It's kind of a change in tone. It's a
Mm.
dramatic change in tone. It's very erotic. I don't know if you. I'm sure you've heard it. There's
Yeah,
unsimulated sex in the film, um, but the frames in the movie are absolutely gorgeous. Like, and I feel like it's kind of an abstract look at relationships. And for anyone who's been in relationships, I think that movie really packs a punch and actually has something really meaningful and personal to say. I really like Gaspar Noé when he gets much more, I don't know, internal. Like that's what I felt with Vortex. It was like a piece of
intimate.
his, yeah, a piece
Yeah.
of his life kind of just thrown at you, and it doesn't have to rely on really flashy camera work, which I love.
Yeah.
Like I love Climax and Irreversible,
Mhm.
Irreversible in French.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, dude, I'd highly recommend Love. I actually haven't seen Enter the Void, which I know is
Oh
other people
man.
say is his magnum opus, but I
Yeah,
would
I'll
love.
say like just because that you like Love and you recommend it, I'll probably watch it sometime soon. I don't know when, but it'll be watched at least within the next 3 months. I'll
Cool.
give it a shot. And Into the Void, that is actually the very first Gaspar Noé film that I've ever seen, and that's before I even knew who Gaspar Noé was. Like I watched that
Really?
film in yeah, I watched it in high school because my friend was just talking about like I had a friend who just knew like all the most fucked up movies ever, and he mentioned Into the Void,
Right.
and he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, like the fucking camera goes inside of a vagina." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's like he's like, "Yeah, you gotta watch it." I'm like, "Okay," so I watched it, and I remember I watched it, and I even though I wasn't that huge on it when I first watched it, I remember thinking to myself like, this has to be the most out there and interesting film that I've seen like ever in my life at that point. At
Sure.
that point, I didn't even know films like that existed. So that was like a brand new thing to me when I watched that film.
It's funny you say about having a friend that would just solely recommend like really subversive shit. Because I had a friend, I think it was like my senior year of college or high school rather, recommended a Serbian film to me, which for those of you who don't know, that movie is it's like an art piece of just sheer terror. And I had never seen anything like that. And not even like aesthetically, like literally actions in that movie that I had never experienced before that are inexplainable. And I haven't even seen like, I don't know, like a Lars von Trier or anything to ease me into that. But yeah,
Oh
that
my
that
god.
shit scarred me for a while. So
Yeah, I actually I really dislike a Serbian film.
I hated it. I despise it. I am still traumatized. I
Yeah.
was a good little, kind of like what you're saying, a very shy, reserved
Mhm.
kid. So
Yeah,
I just
I also heard about that film in high school as well. I didn't watch it until like years later, but that was the same friend, by the way. He actually told me about a Serbian film as well. He
right,
told me about that
right.
one, but I didn't. He told me about what's in it. And I was like, I don't think I can watch that right now. But like later on, it
Uh,
just my curiosity was just overwhelming me. So like eventually, I checked it out, and I was like, I fucking hate this movie.
oh man, speaking of fucked up shit, well, not really, but you are hosting a film festival
Yeah,
that's solely going to be horror films. Horror, is it horror shorts? Right, like that's the distinction. Like it's
yeah.
mostly short films that you're gonna be accepting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all short films. So if your film is like between like 30 seconds long to 15 minutes, that's like our cutoff. So
mm-hmm.
I mean we wanted to like accept longer films, but we were kind of worried about taking up too much time during the film festival. So, you know, we just wanted to have as many films as we could possibly showcase like in a small span of time. So we're just accepting short films. And plus we figured like most aspiring filmmakers, they don't have the money to make a full-length film anywhere. So like
Hmm.
most aspiring filmmakers are making shorts. So, but yeah, like the goal behind the whole horror film festival. Well, first and foremost, I just thought it would be a really fun thing to do. Like,
Hmm.
I've my films have been a part of a few film festivals, and I thought to myself, like, it'd be really fun if I could be able to do this on my own. But I also have to thank my friend Stephen Watkins, because Stephen Watkins helped me come up with the idea, and I thought it sounded like a really fun idea. And I'm like, we could just host it on the channel. You do like a live stream, and the goal would be just not only for like just me to have like a fun experience, but also to like inspire a lot of people out there who, like, maybe they've only made one short and they've been off the wagon for a while, they want to get back into it, or just to inspire people who have never made a short but have had a really creative mind for a long time, and hopefully like this would help them, like, finally give them that push to make something.
Hmm.
And so far, like, I mean, there's a few people in the Discord, uh Kalen and Souffle, and they're already set to like make stuff like just for the film. They never made anything ever, and they're gonna
Oh,
make something
nice.
just for the film festival. So
Really
I'm really
cool.
excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we'll link it in the description of our video and the podcast and everything, but like on Mike, where can people find that? Like what's the link or the freeway link and all
Yeah.
that stuff?
So the thing about this is that since it's an online only film festival, Film Freeway doesn't allow for people to search for it publicly. So if you go to the Film Freeway
Ah,
website and you type in the Misfit Pond Horror Film Festival, ain't shit gonna show up. So like
okay.
you have to share it through the link. And I posted the link on the special announcement video that I made for it. But yeah, like the goal is to like hopefully have a lot of people share the link around, and so that way they can find it that way. I mean, it would be absolutely ideal if people could just search for it. But since they have that
Hmm.
policy, it's going to be a little harder to get people involved. But so far, I mean, we've had a handful of submissions, which I'm really proud of. So
Nice.
yep.
Well, I really admire what you're doing, man. It's a really cool thing to do with your platform, and everyone just subscribe to his channel if you haven't already, and
Oh, thanks.
look out for that look out for that festival. You got it, man.
And
Let's take.
everybody from my channel, subscribe to the Cinebums podcast.
I would really appreciate. I know a few of you already through the Discord, but I'd really appreciate it if you guys listen to our ridiculous, stupid podcast. Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back to talk about inspiring directors, which I can't wait to talk about with Carlos here.
It's gonna be a whole lot of fun.
Welcome back, everybody. We appreciate you listening, and Carlos is still with me, and we
Of
are going to be,
course.
of course, he is, and we're going to be talking about inspiring directors because I think, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I really dictate
Yeah.
my movie watching and my inspiration for writing, directing, all this shit, mostly by directors, like catalogs of directors and I don't know. I like to collect their movies. I like to collect. I just really nerd out about directors in general. I don't know if you have the same feeling, but and of
Oh,
course
dude.
you want to be a director, so you have some affinity for filmmakers.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like when you said that this segment was going to be about our most inspiring directors, I'm like, okay, do we have like a day's worth of time, or because like I could go on like for days about this shit.
As could I. As could I. Um,
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or
sure, man. I mean,
yeah?
I kind of made the list based on sort of like a personal timeline of me of like, excuse me, of when I got into film, which was in high school. Um, I was really into like video games, television shows, and books first and foremost. Always loved the idea of being a writer, but I didn't, film was such a foreign concept. Like I love Tarantino movies. I love, comedies, like studio comedies like Judd Apatow and John
Yeah.
Hughes and stuff like that. Like really simple taste, but um what really prompted it, honestly, and it might sound super mainstream, but it was I got real super into John Carpenter when I was in high school.
Okay.
I saw the original Halloween movie, and for those of you who've seen that film, which I'm sure is a lot of you guys, like it's a very bare bones production. You could kind of feel the cuts, you can feel the camera work as very homemade, if that makes any sense. Even the aesthetic, like Michael Myers himself, feels extremely homemade.
Yeah, it's a very raw kind of film.
Absolutely. And on a shoestring budget, of course, like infamously low budget.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I could really feel that, okay, there were people like pulling the strings on this to create a very terrifying and oddly relatable experience. I really relate to Halloween because I grew up in suburbia, in Illinois, which that film takes place in. So yeah, man. And then I started going down John Carpenter's catalog, and I really started loving movies through like genre stuff, like horror and like
Yeah.
exploitation action movies. Like Wes Craven was huge for me. So I'm kind of defining this era was like I had known who like Chris Nolan was and Steven Spielberg and like
Yeah.
David Fincher even, just because like my dad really introduced me to like the essential movies like Scarface and The
Yeah.
Godfather, but like this was something I found on my own. I found John Carpenter, I found Wes Craven, I found like the Scream movies. Um, and yeah, man, for me it was like horror. It was those things and like They Live and Big Trouble in Little China, which is some stuff that really resonated with me personally. So yeah, that was me, man. That was kind of like what kickstarted everything. And I started going through because I remember Carpenter talked about his influences that he wears on his sleeves, and he talked about like Howard Hawks and like earlier, like Carl Dreyer, like really weird vampire movies from the 30s. And
Yeah.
when I got to film school, I was like, all right, I got to like start going deeper and deeper, and it just became obsessed with it. So that was like what broke the floodgates, if you will. So what about you, man? Like, what kind of blew your head open? Who was it?
Okay. So basically, like, first of all, I kind of have to thank my dad because for the longest, I mean, my dad's not like my dad's he's a casual film goer, but he just likes movies in general. Like he always took me to the movies as a kid, like all the fucking time. And like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until like I was a teenager and like going into high school that I realized I went to the movies like way more often than your average like kid did. But like if we started with the basics, I mean, I enjoyed like the normal stuff any kid would. Like I loved a lot of especially any '90s kid. Like I loved Adam Sandler comedies like a lot.
Me too.
Jim Carrey comedies. I
Mm-hmm.
still love a lot. I mean, people always like there's people that are like getting really embarrassed to say that they liked Adam Sandler. I'm not. I embrace it. I love Adam Sandler. Even now, I still love all those Adam Sandler comedies to death. But
Absolutely.
like, obviously, as I grew up, like I started watching more, more creative filmmaking stuff that was from like Quentin Tarantino, Nolan, filmmakers like that. That like I was like, wow, this is like really great filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
But like I still didn't feel like I wanted to make films or anything. I was just like really enjoying the journey. It really wasn't until Stanley Kubrick came into my life that like I started to realize that I really, really love the art of filmmaking, and this is quite possibly something that I would like to pursue in my life. I mean, obviously, like I knew of some of his more famous films, like The Shining, like when I was a lot younger,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know who was attached to the film or anything. It was just like one of those like iconic scary movies that everybody knew. But like, it wasn't until I watched A Clockwork Orange, and it was like that was a film that I only watched because everybody called it one of the most scariest movies, or at least one of the most disturbing movies ever made. So I just wanted to watch it for that. And what I got was like one of the most unique, creative, and yes, one of the most disturbing films that I've seen, especially at the time. There's just something about that film's personality and that film's
Mm-hmm.
uniqueness that just really struck a chord with me. And I just thought, wow, like it's again like one of those first movies where you realize this film has such personality to it and such creativity to it. And I just found it so thought provoking and again, very disturbing, but disturbing in a way that really made you think about a lot of different things. And I mean, just from the opening shot alone, I was just like, this is something that is just really special and different. And, ever since then, really, like I realized I wanted to be a filmmaker or at least wanted to do something in my life career wise that had to do with filmmaking. But I do want to give a shout out to the filmmaker Paul Thomas Anderson because I watched There Will Be Blood, which is now my favorite film of all time. I used to be Clockwork Orange, but now it's There Will Be Blood, because like I watched that film when it first came out, basically, and I was only like in eighth grade when it came out. And
Mm,
I, even as an eighth grader, I something about that movie I fell in love with. I don't know if it was just because of, the exceptional performance from Daniel Day-Lewis, or like it was the style, or maybe everything. But like something about that
mm,
movie just really resonated with me and it blew me away. But that was like, a little earlier on, where I still didn't really know this is what I wanted to do or anything. I just knew that I did love movies a lot, and There Will Be Blood was like one of the first ones where I was like, this is just really blowing me away. And it sucks because I couldn't relate to it with anybody, because like no other eighth grader watched There Will Be Blood. They don't give a shit about that. It was one of the early on moments though in my life where I'm like, I think this is something that I want to do. But it really wasn't until Stanley Kubrick came along, and I was like, damn. And then after Clockwork Orange, I just started watching a lot of his films, obviously. Like 2001 blew me away, and I was like, this is insane. The fact that it got made in 1960, well, got produced in 1966, and it came out to 1969, I believe, around there.
mm-hmm.
It just was mind blowing to me, like just mind blowing filmmaking. So like really like my favorite filmmaker of all time is Stanley Kubrick, and my most inspiring filmmaker is Stanley Kubrick, like without a doubt.
Mm.
Just like his style and his ambition and his creativity and his ability to make timeless pieces of filmmaking is just it's just so impressive to me and so admirable. Like I really, really love and admire Stanley Kubrick as a filmmaker. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's on the Mount Rushmore of directors for a reason, man. And he, quite like you, he blew my mind open too. When I saw Clockwork Orange in college, like my freshman year of college, and that was kind of like you said, like a singular personality, a
Yeah.
singular aesthetic, and a singular voice behind the camera, and how he saw the world. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I could have understood authorship a little bit more, like a filmmaker
Yeah.
truly putting themselves in the on the canvas, and of course, yeah, Kubrick's a master. I love most of his films, and he was a big one for me too, man. And you mentioned PTA, which he was absolutely massive for me when I was still getting into film. Like There Will Be Blood, obviously, but personally for me, it was Boogie Nights. Like I think I've
Great
I've
film.
I've argued in the Discord when I used to be in it. Like
Yeah.
people would give me shit because I'm like, I think Boogie Nights is secretly his best movie, or
Mhm.
personally my favorite. Like I love There Will Be Blood, but Boogie
Yeah.
Nights was I had loved Goodfellas and Casino,
Yeah.
but I didn't have like I love them to death. Like
Yeah.
I can't talk bad about them, but Boogie Nights
Yeah.
has that same veracity, that same style, and the same sort of structure even. Um,
Yeah.
but it felt like to me, it felt more digestible and relatable and kind of I don't know. There's something magical about all PTA's films that feel kind of otherworldly, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I can see that. Yeah.
And
What's
definitely
insane though is that like he was so young. Like Boogie
26
Nights,
years
he made he
old.
was
Yeah,
26. Yeah.
26. Super
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah. I
That
actually thought he was
was
younger. So,
that's
but it's still,
crazy.
still though. Yeah. It's insane.
He's 1 year older than I am now, which is kind of just like, what's even the point? You
Yeah.
can't be
PTA,
PTA.
he makes me feel like a fucking failure.
Yeah, dude. And
But
then similar to Carpenter, I just went on a deep dive. Like Punch Drunk Love is still one of my favorite films. There Will Be
yeah.
Blood. Magnolia means a lot to me as just as a human being. Like there's so much humanity in that film. Yeah, he's I was gonna bring him up actually, but I'm glad you did because top five directors for me.
Yeah.
Love
If we're,
Licorice Pizza too.
oh yeah.
Great
I
film.
was, I was really happy with how the way that film came out. Um,
Totally.
yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson definitely in my top five contemporary filmmakers for sure. Um,
Easily.
just the
I
guy
could do a
just
whole.
is he's just dripping with talent, like it's insane. But
It's
um
crazy.
you mentioned Goodfellas earlier, and that is another
Mm-hmm.
film that I watched pretty early on. Like I think I was like in eighth grade or something, or maybe ninth grade. But that was definitely a film that, like, again, thanks to my dad, because he was just infatuated with that movie. And
Yeah.
he's like, he was surprised I hadn't seen it by that point. And he's like, you haven't seen Goodfellas? I'm like, no. He's like,
Dads love mob movies, man. My
yeah,
dad,
they do. They
my
really
dad
do.
showed me Scarface, Godfather, Goodfellas, Carlito's Way.
Yeah.
Um, all that, and I appreciate that because that's a doorway to new filmmakers, and it's typical to say because they're widely popular, but some of the greatest movies ever made. Um, and
Yeah.
De Palma is actually a good segue because De
Mhm.
Palma was maybe another early. I can't. It's hard to remember, but I saw Blowout. I think when I was like just entering high school or like midway through high school. I don't know. And it was because Tarantino had always said that's like the greatest movie ever made, which is
Yeah.
pretty hyperbolic thing to say, but Tarantino's very particular with his taste and very opinionated. But
Yeah,
but
this
that's
was in reference to Blowout.
to Blowout. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
Blowout's like the greatest film ever made.
Yeah, I wouldn't go
So
that far, but it is pretty damn
no,
good.
no, no.
Yeah.
But that 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 sent me down like a path to discover not only De Palma's work, but like 70s filmmakers. And to this day, like the 70s are they're just my decade, man.
Dude,
Like
same.
it's yeah, and
I
I
mean,
I've heard you talk about like um a lot of filmmakers that emerged in the 70s, and I can
yeah.
tell you like you have the same itch that I do. Um
Yeah, to me, like the 70s was like the golden age of cinema, personally. Like just
100%.
so many fantastic filmmakers, so many iconic, amazing films came out in the 70s. It's just like, I don't know, like, but you're right though, like in terms of like dad movies, my dad, he loves The Godfather. I saw it because of him. He loved Goodfellas. I saw it because of him.
Hmm.
Scarface I kind of saw on my own, which I film I still adore. I've seen a handful of Brian De Palma films, but Scarface is still my favorite personally. Scarface is
Really,
just so fucking good. Yeah.
dude, I
And
got
I've
a good.
seen
I would say Carrie is mine. I don't know if
Oh, Carrie's pretty good. Yeah.
I love Carrie. Also
My
because I'm a Stephen King huge Stephen King fan, and that's,
really.
in my opinion, one of the greatest adaptations. I say that with an asterisk. He's written a lot of shitty stuff, but kind of similar to what we're talking about. He was someone that really inspired me. But we're not talking about King. But
No, no. I mean, if we're talking
yeah,
about King adaptations, obviously The
The
Shining is
Shining's
my
up there.
favorite. Yeah.
Obviously, like I love them both.
Yeah.
But I love De Palma, man. Like there was again that led me down this 70s rabbit hole of like coked out filmmakers who had boundless creativity and boundless budgets.
Yeah.
And I wrote a few down on my list because there's so many I love. But the one I really want to talk about, who's my favorite of the 70s, and I know for a fact you love this guy, uh, Robert Altman,
Robert Altman.
was
Yeah.
Robert Altman.
Robert Altman film. Bitchy. Yeah,
Well,
Robert Altman's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, I need to watch more of his movies, but like so far, his movies from the 70s, with the exception
mhm.
of Shortcuts, because Shortcuts I think is my favorite Robert
90s,
Altman film.
yeah,
Yeah.
masterpiece. Yeah,
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. But Three Women is fantastic.
it's my
Nashville's
favorite.
fantastic. Yeah. So
Yeah, dude, I saw Three Women in Nashville like within the same few days when I was
yeah.
like super wanting to get into his films because I adored him.
Yeah.
And those movies just are so foundational for me now because I'm like I really compare a lot of things because if you look at PTA's work, even like he was so inspired by Robert Altman, and so many
Yeah.
contemporary people that are like making really large scale movies, like really character driven movies that are heavy in scope, but kind of like to have like ensemble casts, with
Yeah.
Nashville and Shortcuts and stuff like that. And I just love those movies so much. Quick recommendation. I don't know if you've seen, I believe it came out in 1970, Brewster McCloud,
Mm-mm.
that Robert Altman made. It is bizarre. It is hilarious. I can't explain the plot to you. It's the most 70s movie I think that
I like that.
exists. Brewster McCloud, everyone, please check it out. It's not for everybody, but for me, it's one of the most unique character studies. Think about like Taxi Driver, but it's like a nerd who's obsessed with birds, and he lives in a stadium by himself, and he's like a womanizer.
That sounds
But
so interesting.
it is so interesting, and that's why Robert Altman, like every film he made, he took a big swing. Like he
Yeah.
maybe MASH is the exception because that was kind of a populist film, but like every movie he made in the 70s, especially, um, just a huge swing. And his movies just I don't know, they really resonate with me. Do you have another director in the 70s that you? want to bring up since we're in that sort of realm?
Well, what I was gonna say really quick is that I kind of have my cousin Eric to thank for kind of like introducing me to a lot of, I don't want to say they're not well known because like in the Kino community, what like I like to call, they're pretty well known. But like at the time, like when I was, I was still in college, getting ready to graduate, I still was kind of like only on the surface knowing the more popular directors like Paul Thomas Anderson, Quentin Tarantino,
Sure.
Stanley Kubrick, Nolan, and all that stuff. And like it wasn't until like Eric started like, telling me about filmmakers like Mikhail Haneke and
Hmm.
Lars von Trier. I mean, I knew about von Trier, but I never even bothered to check out any of his films because of the fact that just by association with like a lot of videos that I used to watch, they just considered him to be like this just shocking for shock's sake director. So like for the longest time, I didn't check out any of his movies because I just thought he was just, just the edge lord, which he is an edge lord, but he's an edge lord with like genuine intentions. So like,
Sure.
it wasn't until like, thanks to Eric, like I kind of started diving deeper down into the rabbit hole of like learning about more, prominent directors that are really like well respected in the art community.
Right.
Um,
People that have their films like premiere at Cannes, perhaps,
yeah,
like people like that.
yeah, like, and I guess to talk about like filmmakers from the '70s. I mean, it's tough to like bring it off the top of my head, but
Hmm.
like, Stanley Kubrick,
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola, obviously,
Amazing
uh,
decade. Yeah.
Robert Altman. I mean, there's just so many, and I'm pretty bad with like trying to remember things off the top of my head, so I
That's okay,
apologize.
dude. That's okay.
But
But
a
you're,
lot of my favorite films kind of come from the '70s because it's just
hmm
like '70s was such a it was what was so beautiful about the '70s is that Hollywood funded filmmakers that were so boundary pushing and they allowed them to do whatever the hell they wanted. There wasn't really as much like, conservatism with like their budget and the
hmm
and the vision. They were just like, yeah, you just do you. And that's how we got so many like fantastic films.
Absolutely. That era was incredible, and it's for those people wondering like why that era died. I highly recommend one. You read Easy Rider's Raging Bull is a fantastic book about that era, which a lot of people have read, but it's an amazing book about that era. But there were two films that came out, I believe, in like the early '80s that destroyed the whole like '70s auteur movement. And that's One from the Heart by Francis Ford Coppola, which is like his big musical inspired film that tanked, and it was a huge budget. And then there was Heaven's Gate by Michael Cimino, who
Mm-hmm.
directed Deer Hunter, and he that was one of the biggest studio flops in the history of film.
Yeah, I heard all
And
about. I heard he like single handedly bankrupt the studio that he got
absolutely,
funded.
absolutely, and in my opinion, it's on Criterion. If any of you guys want to check it out, if you watch the director's cut, that's an excellent movie that was completely understood for its time because it's very progressive and left leaning politically. So, yeah, like that whole era from beginning to end, like Easy Rider all the way to like Heaven's Gate, I think is super fascinating. That's just a tangent.
Yeah,
Do you
no,
have
no.
do you have any? What other directors did you want to bring up?
Oh man, like I mean, as funny as it is, like David Lynch. So, but David Lynch, I have like a love hate thing going on with David Lynch
I would
because
not have suspected you would bring up Lynch.
yeah, because like Lynch, there's there's so many of his films that I I'm just kind of like whatever. Like what Wild at Heart, I just thought like I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. Like it's got its moments, but I'm just like eh. Blue Velvet, that's another film that kind of took a long time for me to start appreciating a little bit more. Even then, like I think it's a pretty damn good movie, but
I mean, this
I that's it. That's the one.
your
Which, by the
infamous
way,
nemesis.
yeah, my nemesis. I'm trying to find. Oh, I got mine right here. Yeah,
Oh
just so y'all
shit!
know. Yeah,
I forgot you bought it.
yeah, I finally bought it, dude.
That's amazing.
It was a huge thing. I actually said fucking. I picked it up.
Everyone
Uh,
watched the haul videos to know what we're talking about, but
yeah.
Carlos would not pick up Blue Velvet for so long. And it
Yeah,
became kind of a meme.
it was definitely a meme. But like, so even though like David Lynch, there's a number of his films where I just don't really see the brilliance in, and I can appreciate them just like from an art standpoint, but like I just overall I don't see like exactly what is so brilliant about them. But he has films like Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead,
Oh my
and
god, yeah.
Eraserhead to me is one of the most inspiring films ever because like
Mm-hmm.
he made that film somehow off of like a few $1,000s, and it's insane how effective that film is, like on every level, like from a prop and special effects
Mm-hmm.
level, from just like just like a sound design aesthetic level, like
It's
everything
it's like
about
a
that film.
sensory overload, right? Like
Yeah,
kind of like it's what like every avant-garde film should strive to do, in my opinion. It's to unsettle
absolutely.
you in like the most abstract way possible. But yeah, like that's he made that
Eraserhead,
movie for nothing.
yeah, he made that movie with nothing, and it's still probably one of the most unsettling and scariest films that I've ever seen.
I agree.
It's I mean, the film is just overall like a whole ass nightmare, and it's nightmare fuel from start to finish. I mean, there's sequences in that film that like I don't get really unsettled like, from a horror standpoint from films much anymore, but Eraserhead does a job every time. So yeah, like even though honestly I wouldn't even consider David Lynch to be like in my top 5 or even really top 10 filmmakers of all time. But just that film alone is super inspiring to me. It inspires me every
Mm-hmm.
day. So it's kind of weird in that way. But like if we're talking about like also current filmmakers that I feel like are
Sure.
just inspiring, I
Mm-hmm.
mean the well, I like to call the kind of the A24 gang, which you have like Ari Aster,
Safdie's,
Safdies, and Robert Eggers.
Robert
Those,
Eggers.
I mean, so incredibly inspiring they all are, dude. Like
Absolutely.
especially like I don't know, like if I had to pick a favorite between three of them as of now, I know that the easy answer would probably be Robert Eggers, but
It's 3 for 3, man.
Ari Aster's Ari Aster's films, they they resonate with me on an emotional like on an emotional harrowing level that like none of the other filmmakers have yet so far. Like
Okay.
Hereditary was like one of the most like harrowing experiences I've had in the theater in a very long time. Just
Yeah,
everybody knows that sequence like in the film,
sure.
like happens in the first act. That is just incredible filmmaking. And
Mhm.
overall, like there's something about Astor's films that he's able to touch such like a deep human level that I don't really see other filmmakers doing. And that's why I'm like really excited to see his new film with Joaquin Phoenix coming out, hopefully this year. I don't know, but
The 2 hour, the 3.5 hour
yeah,
cut that's coming.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, dude, that's very true that there's a new wave of especially like DIY, like do it yourself filmmakers who
yeah.
thankfully are getting some funding, which is great. I love the Safdie brothers so much. Yeah, you got me thinking about contemporary filmmakers that I adore. And for anyone that knows me, this is a really obvious pick, but anyone even in the Discord would know because my name in that Discord was Jake and Lucy.
Yeah.
Kelly Reichardt is someone I've been obsessed with for a long time, and Old Joy was actually the first film that I ever saw. Like I had a friend in college who actually showed me that movie. Um, which if you've seen the film, it's a very tied to friendship and sort of that fading relationships that you have with the people in your life. And I watched that with my friend, and it was like a really profound in the moment experience.
Yeah.
Um, and I've really found that with all of her films. Like for some reason, they've hit me in the exact right places. Not to mention that I really resonate with her style and like the tone of her films. They're really somber and they're really observatory, like you kind of feel like a fly on the wall in these really
Yeah.
intimate situations. Really delicate. She's a really delicate filmmaker. Obviously, Wendy and Lucy, as aforementioned,
Love that film.
absolutely amazing movie.
Yeah.
First Cow is an amazing movie, probably my
I
favorite
love First
movie
Cow too.
of
Yeah, like
2020.
I've
Yeah.
only seen First Cow and Wendy and Lucy, and I think they're both fantastic
Mm-hmm.
films. I really want to see Old Joy.
Well, Joy is
Um,
maybe my favorite by her. It's hard to pick. I always flip it around, but yeah, dude, like it's one of those things where like my taste aligns with so much of how she views the world and how she moves the camera and how she writes dialogue and how she directs actors.
yeah,
And it was like she's like the filmmaker for me in that regard. And I'm so glad that A24 picked up First Cow because like that's sad to say, like that's the biggest budget she's had in her career, even though it's a very, very modest budget. But yeah, other movies I definitely recommend by her. Meek's Cutoff is a really great western that no
Meek's
one
Cut
really
Off. Yeah, that's another one
yeah,
I've been wanting to watch. Yeah,
dude, it's very hypnotic. It's very important in terms of like gender dynamics and everything.
yeah,
Certain Women, which you could also pick up on Criterion, is a great sort of anthology movie. And yeah,
yeah. I've been wanting to see that too.
I love neorealist cinema. Like I love Mike Lee and I love people like Vittorio De Sica, like really humane
Yeah,
stories. That's really become my personal like favorite subgenre of film. So and she embodies everything I love about it. So yeah, people
yeah.
check out Kelly Reichardt, please.
I've been really wanting to watch a lot more of her films, dude. Like because I've seen two films from her so far, and I think they're both really great.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully sometime soon I could dive more into her works.
Please
Um,
do.
you you,
Absolutely.
men- you mentioned Mike Lee. I've only seen
Mhm.
Naked and Secrets and Lies. Um,
Nice, nice.
I'll admit I watched Naked first and not really that huge on it. Like I think it's a good movie, but like
Okay.
I didn't really resonate very well with me. But Secrets and Lies I think is a masterpiece. Secrets and Lies really rocked my world. Like that film is brilliant, like in every single way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a shame because like I feel like nobody really talks about it nearly as much as they should. And it got nominated for Oscars, which is like
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like more people need to know about Secrets and Lies because that film, like from every standpoint you can think of, like screenwriting standpoint, acting
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, directing standpoint, like it's just brilliant. Like it's just a brilliant film altogether.
100%. 100%. I've really, and admittedly, I have not seen Naked, which is his most,
Interesting.
which
Yeah.
is, and I still call him like one of my favorite directors. I don't know why I haven't seen Naked yet. There's something wrong with me. It's becoming a meme though. Like it's just, I can't, but I've literally seen like 15 of his other films, which is crazy. But
That's
yeah,
wild.
it's wild. Yeah. Secrets and Lies, though, a masterpiece.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Shout out to Mike. We really bonded over Mike Lee. We like Life is Sweet is both we both like super support that movie. One of my favorite. That's by far my favorite like Mike Lee film. It's hilarious.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
um, it's just such a slice of life, and I know that term is used so broadly, but I truly believe that's one of the best portraits of a working class family that exists. Sort of similar to like I don't know if you've seen anything from Ken Loach, like I Daniel Blake, or
Yeah.
um,
I've seen I Daniel Blake and Sorry We Missed You.
yeah, Sorry We Missed You is the other one. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Both
this
really great films.
really great films.
Heartbreaking as hell, but
Oh
very
my
great
god,
films.
yeah, not easy to watch whatsoever, but
No.
I don't know, man. That's like it's my comfort food or movies like that. You
Yeah.
know, like Mike Lee, Ken Loach, even Kiarostami in a weird way.
I was just
Uh,
about to bring up
okay,
Kiarostami,
great.
dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just about to bring up
Talk about
Kiarostami.
Kiarostami for me.
Dude, oh my God. Like, again, I have to thank really both Eric and Perry for getting me into Kiarostami because again, if we are talking about like more inspiring filmmakers and probably my favorite filmmakers of all time, I think Kiarostami would definitely make that list.
Me
I
too.
mean, obviously he's an Iranian filmmaker and creates he creates some of the most subtle pieces of filmmaking, but yet some of the most powerful pieces of filmmaking I've ever seen. I mean, this
Absolutely.
guy, like, he's obviously like a more of a minimalist filmmaker, but like he's able to say so much through that minimalist attitude that he embraces with his filmmaking. And I can't get enough of it. I mean, Close Up is like it's just it blurs the line between art and reality so incredibly well. That film like brought a tear to my eye just because of, I don't want to spoil it too much, but just the content that has to do with, somebody who was also truly inspired by film. Just really, really great stuff.
Yeah, there's a meta nature to Close Up that's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
If you're a film lover, that's like essential viewing. I know we talked about Where's My Friend's House, which in the Coker trilogy, which the Coker trilogy was what truly made me fall in love with Kiarostami. And then subsequently I watched, Certified Copy and everything else. But that was a trilogy that really, I don't know if you've gone past Where's My Friend's House, or Where's the Friend's House? I always confuse it. But dude, that's a stellar trilogy.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them besides Where's My Friend's House. Eric actually watched both of them today or yesterday.
I saw
and he loved them. So like, I'm really, really excited to finally watch both of those films. But yeah, like I really love Abbas Kiarostami. Certified Copy is probably my favorite still. That was the first Kiarostami film I've seen, and it just blew me away. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from every standpoint, I think the acting from both Juliette Binoche and I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but he was great in the film.
It's fantastic.
And he's not even like an actor, really. Like he's more like an opera singer. I forgot. He's something else.
He's this opera singer, right? Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And he absolutely kills it in the film. And I don't know. I just love the way that I love the way that the film tackles its themes. Because a huge aspect of the film is subjectivity versus objectivity and like the value of them, and which one should we give more value to, per se.
Right.
I have a whole like video essay on it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But like, I just love the way that the film goes about exploring its themes. I just think it's like Kiarostami to me is probably one of the most intelligent filmmakers that I've ever witnessed. He's really, really great.
I love the anecdote about him because before he died, people would always say that he would never take off his sunglasses, even like indoors or like directing films or whatever, watching movies. And like I think that's so symbolic of like how intelligent he is. Like he seems like an otherworldly being. Like the sunglasses give him the power to see the world like differently than everyone else.
That's true, because whenever I see a picture of him, he always has sunglasses.
Yeah, it's crazy. Certified Copy's an absolute masterpiece, dude. Like it's like what you're talking about with subjectivity, but like also like expectations that we have of each other as human beings. And basically how that movie kind of compresses an entire lifetime of trauma with another human being and sort of learning about each other and how surreal of a turn it takes. Binoche is incredible in that film. I'm so sorry to the opera singer, but he's also incredible.
I think his name is like William Shamel or something like that. I could be wrong, but I think that
sounds right.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
But I mean, Juliette Binoche, I'm in love with Juliette Binoche. I think like
it's one of our greatest. Yeah.
She's probably, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go as far as saying she's my favorite actress, but she's up there. Like she's really, I want to watch more of her films, but she's one of my favorite actresses for sure.
Do you like the first Three Colors movie?
I've only seen Three Colors Blue.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
She's in that. Yeah, she's in that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's incredible in that movie.
It's an incredible performance. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie in general is also fantastic. I really need to watch the rest of the trilogy.
Oh yeah, dude.
I heard Three Colors Red is like the best one.
My favorite.
But I own the box set, but I haven't watched any of them yet. Yeah. So at some point I have to watch. I just have so many movies that I gotta watch, and I only really watch what my audience tells me to watch. Basically, I only review the patron poll winners and the subscriber poll winners, and that's it. So that's all I really have time for. So I just have to hope one day soon it wins a poll or something.
I hope it does. Everyone vote for fucking Three Colors Red. It's a masterpiece.
But the thing is, I probably have to watch Three Colors White first, because everybody says like
true
the way it works. So I don't want to vote for. I don't want Three Colors Red to win, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you're watching it out of order. It's not going to make sense."
No, yeah, you have to go in order. That's actually a bust.
All right, so there's some filmmakers that I haven't named yet that I think were pretty influential to me.
Hmm.
And I think these are particularly important because they're Mexican filmmakers.
Nice.
Um, Alfonso Cuarón is one of them. I
Amazing.
think I mean, especially some of his earlier works, Y tu mamá también, such an incredible movie. And even like Children of Men, like that's like one of the earlier films that I watched when I was like, like a scene. I think I was a senior in high school, and I was just blown away by how well directed that film was.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, another incredible filmmaker. I mean, Amores Perros, Birdman, The
Hmm.
Revenant. I mean, every film that he's made is pretty much excellent. So another just, and again, like his, I don't want to say gimmick, but his shtick for a while was taking like three or four different stories from different places and
Yeah.
eventually like having them collide in some way.
Intersecting plot lines like Babel,
Yeah,
21 grams and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would say Amores Perros is like the best of them, of the three. I think it'd be three of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but Babel might be like a personal favorite of mine.
Really?
Yeah, because Babel resonates with me so much, like on an emotional level. The ending to Babel, just with the use of score and the way it's directed, it hits such a deep level of melancholy, and I really, really appreciate it for that.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, other filmmakers, I had like a bunch in my head. I'm trying to figure out which other ones. Oh well, you know what? I'll say if we're on the topic of Mexican filmmakers, Carlos Regadas. He again, like before the call actually started, we were talking about Japón. I think that's an
Yeah.
excellent film as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, like Japón, and again, like that's a film. It's pretty divisive in the Discord. Like, there's a good chunk of people in there that think it's whatever. But like
Mm.
to me, like Carlos in that, like he's able to reach a level of both surrealness and also authenticity that like I haven't seen in a while. Because everything about that film at the same time feels authentic but also dreamlike. And
Yeah.
yeah, I know like Perry wasn't huge on it. He calls it a diet taste of cherry, but
Perry.
like, yeah, but even like I understand they have similar like plot lines, I guess.
Similar
But
intentions. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
but the approach to filmmaking is so entirely different. And
Yes. Very
and
singular.
and
Yeah.
Hapon is obviously a little bit more like boundary pushing. It really goes there with a lot of different scenes, but
Yes.
it's a really unique and powerful film, especially with the ending. The ending is incredible. The shot at the end is just amazing.
Incredible final shot. Yeah. Yeah. I like I told you off mic, I watched that film for the first time last night. Um, and blind bought it on Criterion, which kind of was a gamble, but I ended up loving the film. And the final shot's incredible. But yeah, then there was that. What really is sticking with me for some reason is there. I don't know if you remember. There's a shot of like 50 or 60 kids walking by as he's listening to music, and it kind of just stays on his perspective, and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
incredibly
Yeah,
impactful and
love that
really
scene.
really thought-provoking sequence. Yeah, and that's I can't wait to watch. Forgive me if I butcher this, but Los Tenenbrox Lux.
Yeah, put post to Bros Lux. Yeah,
Tenenbrox, well, yeah, I can't wait to check that out
yeah,
after Hapon.
that's a great one too. And again, like his films are definitely going to be more divisive amongst people because
Sure.
he's more on the avant-garde, like boundary pushing side. But I can see a lot of people finding Post Center Bros Lux like boring or something. But to me, like again, like I like his ability to achieve something really unique. And Post Center Bros Lux is definitely that. And yeah, I mean, you have my recommendation. I definitely suggest that you check it out at some point because yeah, especially like with the ending felt very like Lynchian, oddly enough. It really goes there with the ending. So
Oh yeah.
I highly recommend it. That's a film I'd love to see on Criterion at some point.
Oh yeah. Criterion, make it happen. Let's get all of his catalog on there. I'd love to see
Yeah.
more from this guy.
Yeah, he has more
Um,
films too that I haven't seen yet that I hear are
yeah,
pretty good. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, dude, those are all great filmmakers and I like how you're representing a particular region of the world.
yeah, I wanted
Kind
to
of
do that. Yeah.
absolutely. It inspired me to talk about Japan because Japan really resonates with me, and especially like I'll talk about the main ones. Why not? I'm going to talk about
Yeah.
Ozu and Kurosawa
Yeah.
because in different ways they really introduced me to new heights when it comes to directing and especially with Kurosawa. Obviously he's inspired a generation. Some would say most films you could trace back to Kurosawa's work. Um, and like when I first saw most of his films, it was like this is what the foundation of storytelling on screen, boils down to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, inspired a lot of populist filmmaking, with like Star Wars and shit.
Yeah.
Um, but you look at movies like Akiru and
Oh
Kurosawa's
yeah.
Dreams or Throne of Blood, like these are very, very boundary pushing films for the 1950s. Um, Incredibly well realized movies. Camera work super innovative, set design just impeccable. Like
Yeah.
his movies are kind of like just a clinic on in like we were saying with Secrets and Lies, like on every basis from pre-production to post-production. Just a lot of his movies are perfect in my opinion. And real quick on Ozu, that comes more of like a personal taste sort of thing because like I said, I really love really sort of character driven films like that.
Yeah.
um and
Yeah,
I love
dude.
all of his films, man, but like
Ozu,
good.
dude.
Ozu's fantastic. Like I,
I
I tear up just thinking about Good Morning and Late Spring
oh my
and
God,
how
yeah.
those movies make me feel.
I just
Um,
watched Late Spring today, by the way. I
really,
just watched Late
really.
Spring today, and I am absolutely in love with that film. I think
I'm glad.
I mean, it's such a beautiful film. Like I really, really loved it. It was the subscriber poll winner, so
Nice.
I'm gonna do my best to get that review out this weekend. But yeah, I mean, I adored them. I've seen Good Morning as well too because it was a Discord rec.
Cool.
So both his films I love, but Late Spring
Mm.
definitely hit different. It was really really good.
Oh yeah. And intelligent. Like he's a super intelligent filmmaker, regarding human relationships, but also like Japan was like
Yeah,
heavily industrializing at the time, and those
yeah,
movies really reflect like the outside looking in terms of like
yeah,
people adapting to the world just drastically changing and how it
yeah,
affected families and parent to child dynamics. And even though we're all divorced from that era, like none of us grew up in the 50s or watching Ozu movies, but they're so timeless and so they speak on the human condition in a very transparent way for me. Not
yeah,
to mention the fact that he doesn't use any camera movements, very rarely uses camera
yeah.
movements, and it's all about framing. Like you can just learn so much watching Ozu movies. So
Yeah, I noticed that when I was watching Late Spring, especially, I was like, every single shot in this movie is stationary,
yeah,
but
it's
but so
wild.
incredibly effective. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, that movie is a lot about like the um, just like how there's nothing you can do to stop the changing world,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing you could do as well, to stop deep feelings of sadness as well. It's one of those films to where it shows you the impossibility of staying in the same happy place for the rest of your life. And just overall, I think it's incredibly impactful. And I like how the film, it obviously depicts the traditional view of marriage and dynamics between men and women. But I love how it does, like, in a way it doesn't really, it values tradition, but at the same time criticizes tradition. Like I think
Yeah.
it's a really good like exploration of it without like being so heavy on one side. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's really nuanced in that regard.
Yeah, he never makes a judgment call in his films. Like I really
Yeah.
feel like he's a very subjective filmmaker. Um, but yeah, and like you were saying about um studying human like relationships and like how you
Mm-hmm.
can't like the alienation of feeling like you can't stop the world changing, like
Yeah.
again a very timely thing that we could all relate to.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know, man, I just feel like he all of his films are timeless, and I recommend anyone who wants to get into
Yeah.
Ozu just definitely you got to get in that headspace of, his movies are structured differently and they're paced differently than a lot of films that you're used to seeing, but he's a super rewarding director to dive deep into.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch more of his stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like I want to watch Early Spring and Tokyo Story and
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Yeah. A quick shout out, since we're talking about Ozu, but a Japanese filmmaker, contemporary Japanese filmmaker, Hirokazu Koreeda, who did Shoplifters, and he did Still Walking. I admittedly haven't gone super deep with his films. I've seen three out of like 20. But I just watched Still Walking very recently for the first time, and that is so inspired by Ozu, but it, modernizes a lot of the themes and the mechanics of an Ozu movie in such a profound way. And that movie is as good as, if not better than, my favorite Ozu movies like Late Spring and Good Morning.
Damn.
So guys, check out that movie. It's a gem. No one really talks about it. But
I never heard about it until just now that you brought it up.
Yeah, dude, please put it on your watch list. Yeah, it's on Criterion, guys. If you want, looking for a blind buy, it's a fucking excellent film and just absolutely heartbreaking. And if you like food, it's a great food movie. There's some great, beautiful shots of families preparing food. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on Japanese film.
Tampopo vibes.
Oh yeah, that's usually one of my favorite films of all time is Tampopo. So
I want to watch his previous film, The Funeral.
Same here.
Yeah, like I've heard great things about it. It's on Criterion, so
it is.
That might be one of my blind buys. Who knows?
Oh, please. Yuzo Itami needs more recognition, man. He's such a wholesome and just one of a kind filmmaker, I would say. Yeah. Even if you've just seen Tampopo, it's just such a unique way of telling a story. It's so comedic and joyful, but also so heartbreaking.
Anybody who knows me, like I really, really love wholesome content. I'm a sucker for a wholesome material.
I'm right there with you. Who else did you want to bring up?
I was thinking about it, and I was like, who else should I really shout out as something that's like influential?
You could literally talk about any of those people on your shelf, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that really is true. It's all right. Like, if you want, we could just move on.
Let's move on. Yeah, dude. Your Criterion Hall videos are very popular. I love them, and
thank you.
I noticed that. Yeah, you're a big fan of physical media, so I thought it'd be fun to do a little spotlight on some of our favorite physical media that we own, because we gotta, like you said it off mic before, you gotta have some joy out of life, and why not spend hundreds of dollars that you don't have on movies? If they make you happy, fuck it. So man, I grabbed a little stack of movies
same.
I love.
Also got a little stack, and I did this like rather quickly. There might be like some here and there that I should have maybe included, but overall this is like some of my favorites, like in terms of packaging and stuff. Like it's really good. And also just in terms of packaging, and also there's some in here that I just picked because I just really love the film. But
yeah, I try to find a blend of like, I genuinely love it, but also the packaging is just, I could look at it all day, so
yeah,
man. I mean,
you can go first.
You
want me to go first?
Yeah, you're my guest, man.
All right. I'll go, man. So on the top of my stack, I got a film that I just mentioned. Really
lovely.
Ita Mama Tambien. This is actually my very first Criterion, and I bought this before even knowing what the hell Criterion was. I watched the film, and I was like, I really want to own this movie.
Okay.
And I went on Amazon, and I found that there was a really like expensive copy of it, because at the time, it wasn't the sale. So when I got it, it was like $38 or some shit like that. And I said, fuck it, I want it. So I bought it, came in, and it was fucking beautiful. Like, you get a nice thick packaging, like it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like the digipack kind of thing. And even though it looks cool, some people say the only downside, it kind of has some wear and tear, which it does a little bit. But like, it's great. Like, I fucking love this movie, and the packaging in it is incredible too.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, just overall, it has like a little booklet and everything, so it's great. Um, it's been a very long time since I've given this movie a rewatch. So I need to get on that at some point because there was a period of time where I watched it like 3 times in 2 months, and
Wow.
ever since then I haven't watched it. So I need to give it another shot. But yeah, you're next. You
Yeah,
do
man.
yours.
Don't hate me, but I haven't seen Mama Tamben yet, and
Oh, what?
I own the Criterion. I bought it. I bought it on sale, I think, about a year ago, and it's just been sitting there. And I gotta pull the trigger. I have so many blind buys that I have yet to throw on, and that's like my
Dude,
biggest embarrassment.
it's my big embarrassment too. I have a shitload of blind buys because before the patron picks, like because I did that like tier this season where I had the patron picks. Before then, I still have like at least 6 or 7 or maybe even 10 criterions that I haven't even seen yet that I own. So kind of embarrassing, but
Yeah,
I'll get to it eventually.
yeah. I mean, like we said, we're junkies of about collecting physical
Yeah.
media, so you're gonna run into a few that you haven't seen. But yeah, I'll go next, man. I got probably my top three favorite films right here, and also was a blind buy. And that is All That Jazz.
Oh, dude,
I don't know if you
I
can
haven't
see
seen it.
the glare on there. But yeah, man, this
Dude,
was I have a friend from college who this was like his absolute favorite film, and we went Criterion hunting together, and he sort of pressured me into buying it, knowing my taste and sort of knowing my sensibilities and stuff. And I bought it, and like you said with Ito Mama Champion, dude, it was like 5 watches within the span of like maybe 4 or 5 months. I was showing everybody this movie. I was obsessed with it. I was emotionally and deeply affected by it. So I kind of highlighted that, like the packaging is really simple. It's nothing really to speak on, but the fact that this was a blind buy and ended up being, top three favorite films of all time. Like I
that's
consider this
incredible.
maybe if someone were to ask me the greatest film of all time, um, you know, on a mix of like subjective and objective taste, I would
Yeah.
maybe say All That Jazz. Can't recommend it enough. Someone put that in the patron poll, please, for Carlos to watch. I want that
Yeah,
review,
I haven't.
please.
Yeah, I haven't seen all that jizz yet. It's a film that I've been really, really wanted to see for quite some time. But like, I put on a poll at least once, and I think it came close to winning, but it didn't win. Um,
For shame, those
it'll happen
people.
again though. I know, right?
I hope so. I just want to see you talk about it, man. And yeah, it's a film that means a lot to me. And I if I were to keep one movie in my collection, I always would say I would keep All That Jazz.
Oh,
And
that's
for anyone
awesome.
who's seen this movie, that's sort of weird to say because this movie's really depressing, somewhat nihilistic, and really
Oh,
uh
really?
yeah. I've seen it multiple times though. I've dissected a lot of elements of this movie that's maybe some people wouldn't agree with, but yeah, man, I look forward to your review one day. But yeah, that's a great film. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, everybody I know really loves that film, so I'm really excited to check it out. All right. So
Yeah.
for my next pick, this might be like I don't know. Some people might be a little disappointed in me in this one, but I know it's kind of normie core. But
That's all right.
Interstellar.
Ooh, baby.
This is like okay. I know. Honestly, I don't think there's a single soul in the Discord that can relate to me in my love with this film. Like I'll
Really?
acknowledge, yeah, everybody else in Discord, they kind of I don't say they shit on it, but they just think it's whatever, basically. But this like to me, this film is yeah, again, I'll admit it's flawed. I mean, it has
Hmm.
those Nolan isms where their writing is just like so on the nose and sometimes cringe. But the accomplishments of this film vastly outweigh any of its weaknesses. And I think that like overall, like this is just like an incredible film. I mean, obviously from a visual standpoint, it's absolutely remarkable. And I really wanted to point this out because I love like the just like the packaging of this because like you open it up, it looks really cool.
Wow, that's
You
great.
open it up like this. It just like to really like slick, see if I can get it more on camera, something like that. But here, maybe like that.
Yeah,
There.
there you go. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, like it's a really, really cool like packaging. And it's just like, again, like in terms of the films that I would have to keep in my collection if I had a gun to my head, this might be one of them, just because of just how much I love the packaging to this. So yeah, Interstellar, that's one. I know a lot of people are just like whatever about it, but I love the movie. I
No,
don't
man,
care.
I will back you up on that. That on some days I would say is probably my favorite Chris Nolan movie.
It's my
Um,
favorite Chris Nolan for sure, without
that's
a doubt.
awesome because I most people would argue the opposite, and say that's maybe his
His
worst,
worst.
one of his worst films. But no,
Oh, you know what?
I love that film.
I'll I'll reserve that it's my favorite because I forgot that The Prestige exists, and that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, no,
Um,
yeah. It's like for me, the other one would be like Memento, or even some days like Inception. I love Dunkirk, and I love a lot of his
yeah,
films. But yeah, like in terms of emotional impact and putting things on screen that have
yeah,
never been put in a blockbuster film,
yeah.
that movie's pretty
Interstellar.
singular, man.
Yeah,
It's the 2001 for our generation
yeah. I mean,
in a
you're right.
way.
Like emotionally, it's his most impactful.
Oh,
And the
by
score
far.
from Hans Zimmer, like I know a lot of
Oh
people
my
like
god,
people like shit
so
on Hans
good,
Zimmer all the time now, but like you gotta admit, like I personally think his score for that film is incredible. Like,
remarkable.
yeah, like it's a huge element as to why it is so emotionally effective. Just the
Hmm.
score just matches the film so incredibly well.
Incredible in scope too. Hoyt, the cinematographer,
Oh
actually
yeah,
he just shot Nope, which is an
yeah,
incredible looking movie.
yep,
He's, for my money, one of the greatest working DPs that we got, and Interstellar is probably his magnum opus.
yeah,
I would say it looks incredible. So yeah, dude, I agree. That's an incredible film, and I love that little digibook that you got there. So
yeah. It was like a special thing, like on the day one release of it, and I got it, and it was. I don't regret it. It looks great.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I'll follow that up with probably the biggest purchase I've ever made when it comes to physical media. Nothing like like the Fellini box set on Criterion or Bergman box set. Like I've never really gone over $100 for a singular item like other people have. Um,
Yeah.
but I got this limited edition 40th anniversary edition of Suspiria 4K.
Ooh,
It's a 4K steelbook. I'll show you the steelbook in a second. But yeah, this was like $90. I impulse bought it one day just because
damn.
this is one of my favorite horror films ever. And especially in 4K, like I don't know if you've seen the film, but visually just so striking and so colorful and really vibrant horror film. So in 4K, I was like, here, I can actually show you some of the visuals on the back here
Yeah.
of the steelbook are
Ooh,
like
that
just
looks
so
dope.
like this is my prized possession, man. Like when it comes to like physical
Wow.
media, I would never sell just because I could just look at the packaging all day and it's just such a gorgeous piece of art itself. But
Yeah.
not to mention I love the movie. I love Argento and I love horror,
Yeah.
Italian horror. So
I still haven't seen Suspiria, the original.
oh man.
Yeah.
I wish
I've
I could
seen
I wish I could loan you this 4K.
I've seen Opera. I thought that was a great film.
It's a great movie. I own that too.
Yeah.
That's a great little giallo. In my opinion, though, this is Argento's. I don't think people would argue it's like his magnum opus.
Nice.
And one of the last films to be processed in Technicolor, I believe. Like the coloration of this movie is just mind blowingly great. And yeah, man, I have to show it off. It's like it's a steel book within like a slipcover sort of thing. So it's like it's just the best. I mean, I love the movie.
Well, the packaging looks really awesome, dude. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Please check it out. I
I
recommend
will
that movie to
eventually.
anyone. Yeah.
I know Eric really likes it, so I'm
Oh, cool.
pretty sure he's extremely jealous that you own that. All right, so up next I got Barry Lyndon.
Mm,
So like it's crazy because for the longest time, A Clockwork Orange was my favorite Stanley Kubrick film, but now it's Barry Lyndon. Um, and
wow.
it's insane because like Barry Lyndon is a film that I feel like a lot of people sleep on because of not only its runtime, it's like 3+ hours long, but because of the fact that it's like a period piece and that can turn a lot of people off and say, oh, it's boring, it's kind of standard. It's not. This movie is pretty much unlike anything you've ever seen, surprisingly. Um, yeah, it's like every way I think this is masterful. Obviously, this film, I don't want to say it has the most gorgeous that has the most gorgeous camera work that I've ever seen, but it's at least top five. This really is one of those films where like every shot is a painting. I know it's like a cliched thing
Hmm.
to say, but like if it applied to any film, it would be this one. It's just
Yeah,
like from start to finish, it's gorgeously shot. I mean
yeah,
the characterization and just the narrative and where it goes is it's riveting. You wouldn't think a 3 hour plus period film is riveting, but it really is from start to finish. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely love Barry Lyndon. I have a video, by the way, on Barry Lyndon. You know, trying to give people 3 reasons why to like stop what you're doing and watch Barry Lyndon right now. And if you haven't seen that, check. Try to take some time and check that out. But yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely love Barry Lyndon. It's an incredible piece of filmmaking.
I do too. I actually had the pleasure of seeing that movie for the first time in a revival theater,
Yeah,
with a 4K print. And yeah, you're right on with the visuals. Like it is so sumptuous and just like a Renaissance painting came to life sort of deal. Like it is
yeah,
straight out of history, that movie on a visual level. And like the cinematography was all done with natural lighting, like natural candle lights.
yeah, which is
So that
crazy.
which is like, yeah, it's unheard of nowadays. And I agree, that's like after The Shining, which is my personal favorite Kubrick, that is like a close number two. Like that is a film I adore. Not even from a technical level, but also I think some of the best character work he's ever done, in my opinion, which is kind of a hot take because he's had some incredible character work, but the journey that Ryan O'Neal goes through in that movie is absolutely incredible. And just
Yeah.
yeah, man, I have the Criterion. I got to rewatch it very soon. That's a great callback to your love of Kubrick too.
Oh yeah, dude. Of course. You've I would say you have to rewatch it very soon.
Very soon.
I'm sorry. I like stupid puns like that.
Yeah, man. And yeah, check out his video. Check out the video. I will, if I rewatch it, I will definitely throw on your review right at, or whatever video highlighting Barry Lyndon right afterwards. Yeah, it's a great film. Yeah, my next thing I got is a little, I know I said I don't buy box sets very much, but I had to when it comes to this because this is a filmmaker I actually didn't get to talk about in our, I totally forgot to bring him up, but Cassavetes,
Oh, dude.
this box
Yeah.
set that um, you pretty much I always ran into it when I'd go to these Barnes and Noble hunts. And I eventually just became very into his work as a filmmaker. And I was like, okay, I really have to splurge like a good $70 to get this thing. It's got 5 films in it. Um, Shadows, Faces, Woman Under the Influence, Chinese Bookie, Opening Night, which in my opinion are all fantastic films,
Yeah.
but Woman Under the Influence is a masterpiece, one of the greatest performances on film ever.
Jenna
Um,
Rollins.
Jenna Rollins
Insane.
is absolutely magnificent in that
Yeah.
movie. If anyone wants to get into Cassavetes, I'd always say that's a great place to start, even though that's like more of his
Yeah.
like complex and sort of tougher movies to watch. But that movie is such a bleak portrait of marriage and motherhood and humanity. And um yeah, dude, Cassavetes, like I said, I love character driven filmmaking, and that's what Cassavetes does best.
I really wanted to get that box set during the last haul, but I couldn't afford it. So I was like, ah, damn it.
Oh
But
dude, oh man,
but
yeah,
fucking opening night is a fantastic film too.
incredible. Another great Jenna Rollins performance, like a really meta, weird, sort of
Yeah.
intoxicating performance. Killing Him a Chinese Bookie is sort of like his take on sort of a mob movie, but more of like a criminal underbelly sort of movie. I That's one that not a lot of people talk about, but that's a really, really interesting film. Maybe stylistically, like his most interesting film I've seen. So, and Faces and Shadows are very foundational. I haven't seen them in a long time, but yeah, this is a great set, man. Quick shout out to other movies he has in Criterion. Love Streams and Husbands are both fantastic movies
Yeah.
by Cassavetes. They're not in this set, but I own them both on regular Criterion, but they're both fantastic movies. yeah, I can't say enough great things about Cassavetes. You know, we were talking about the '70s, and this guy is he's up there as my favorite of that era. He defined independent filmmaking going forward,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I really want to watch more of his stuff. I've only seen A Woman Under the Influence and Opening Night, but just from those two alone, I'm convinced that pretty much all of his films are probably great in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, I'm gonna move on to my next one, and this is a film that we were talking about earlier, and that's Scarface.
I have
You
that too, man.
had the same one?
I got this. 1 second.
Yeah, you got the steel book.
Hold. I got it, man.
Holy shit. That's awesome, dude. Because like my brother bought me this like forever ago, and I tried looking for it like just to see if they had this shit on sale anymore. And I mean, I personally couldn't find it anywhere. So
It's
like,
such a cool, like, look at the back and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, same one, dude. It's so I got it. I'm like, I love the steel book. Like, it's just so fucking awesome.
So
The
sick.
inside, yeah, it also comes with the original Scarface as well.
Oh my God, I totally forgot. I meant to watch this.
Yeah,
Damn. That's so cool.
yeah, dude. Just, I mean, I know we already talked about it, but just it's my favorite Brian De Palma film still. My second favorite's probably Dress to Kill,
Ooh,
but
wow. That's a
Scarface is great.
that's a wild one.
Yeah.
I could do a whole podcast on De Palma, honestly, man. I think he's such a fascinating filmography. Yeah, Scarface rules. I mean, what else could you say about it that has been said? And
Al Pacino is
great
incredible.
design. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great portrayal of a Cuban immigrant in that movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, absolutely. So I got one more here,
Okay.
sort of wrap things up. You probably haven't heard of this film, but I just got this in the mail about 2 days ago. It's a Dennis Hopper movie called Out of the Blue. And this,
Ooh,
you
that's
might have heard,
awesome.
you might have heard of this film, but this guy,
Yeah, this is the one that Dennis Hopper actually directed,
he
right?
directed this film,
Yeah.
came out in the 1980s, and there's many reasons why I included this. The main one being is that this movie was damn near impossible to view for so long, and I admittedly I don't like torrenting movies at all, but
Yeah.
when I first heard about this movie years ago, I had to find a link online to watch it because there's literally no other way to watch it. But now we got this 4K restoration by Severin, which is a great underground
Severin.
company.
Yep.
Yeah, Severin's great, and this was by far like the best thing they've ever released in terms of quality. Because normally they do like sort of B movies and like
Yeah.
old Italian horror stuff. No disrespect to that stuff, but this is like like in my opinion, one of the best dramas, American dramas of all time. And it's hard to say because like no one could be like, oh yeah, totally, because like that movie is not widely seen and it's not in circulation.
Yeah.
But I hope there's ways to stream it now, because it's in circulation again. It's showing in theaters all over the country. But yeah, guys, check out Out of the Blue by Dennis Hopper. It's a very impactful and just beautifully told movie. And like Dennis Hopper's not necessarily known for his directing, but this movie's directed with so much passion and so much personality and so much just exuberance. Deeply depressing film, I should preface it, but yeah, man, I just got this in the mail and I'm super excited to check it out. Like hopefully this weekend I'll rewatch it. And yeah, guys,
Yeah.
this is like, yeah, check it out.
It gets talked about a lot in the Discord, and pretty much everybody really digs it. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I actually have a Severin. Oh, hold on a second. Uh
Oh
Santa
yeah, yeah.
Sangre.
Santa Sangre is at Seven. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like again, like you said, they kind of produce like a lot of like B movie stuff.
Sure.
But like, every now and again they'll have stuff like this, which is
Yeah.
like a genuine, like just a great piece of art. So
You got a Jordowski on there. You got a
yeah.
Dennis Hopper film. Yeah, you got your gems. Yeah, man.
Okay. I'll just
Do you have
we got
anything else?
I do have I'll speed run through these really quick.
Okay, go for it.
So we got Son of the White Mare. This
Oh yeah, yeah.
is an animated film from Hungary, I think. Hungary. I'm not. I hope I'm right, but yeah, this is a really great film. I love the packaging. I have a review on this film, but the packaging is really cool. Like it goes in like this. You kind of take it out like that. And yeah, like overall, like it's just
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
really great to look at.
That's an animated film, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's an
Uh,
animated film,
cool.
and this is a recent release too. They just released this like last year.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and then you got Irreversible, Gaspar Noé. This is the
Indicator, huh?
yeah, the indicator one where it comes with both the chronological version and the original reverse version.
Wow. Wow,
I
that's
haven't even
crazy.
opened it yet because most people know who follow my channel. I don't really open them until I watch them. So one of these days I'm gonna rewatch it. I don't know when because it's gonna fuck me up, but there it is right there. So I got that, and then we got the Midsummer uh
Whoa. I've never
director's
seen
cut.
that before. Wow. That looks like a
Yeah,
novel.
yeah, it's really
That's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, this is the director's cut they released off of the A24 website, and it's really really cool. Like you open it out like this, and it's just like so
Damn, that's
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, the back, like the bear on fire, and it's just really fucking cool. Like this is one of the coolest Blu-rays I own.
Yeah, I love the colors on that thing.
Yeah, this comes with like a booklet of all kinds of like a lot of the drawings and stuff that were like at the commune. They
Sure.
have all that stuff. So
That's gorgeous.
yeah, it's an amazing, amazing Blu-ray. I love it.
Wow.
But yeah, that's about it for me, man.
Sweet. A great plethora, I think, that we presented to everybody. Yeah, we're winding down here, man. I just want to
Yep.
say thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we've always talked, through DMs and stuff. I've been in and out of the Discord multiple times.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I love what you do in
No
the
problem at all, man. Thanks for
creative
having me
space.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And
I had a
guys,
great time.
yeah, everyone listening, please subscribe to the Misfit Pond. I will put a link in the description.
Thank you
Most
so
likely
much.
you'll see a lot of promotion for this episode. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Keep watching movies, and I will see you in the next Jake centric episode.
All right. And also everybody who's watching it on my channel, I don't know who's going to post it on wherever, but whoever's watching it and knows me, please subscribe to the Cinebums because they're awesome.
Thank you so much.
No problem.